Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat, the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon.
Coming to you live from the Phoenix Holding Studio, it's Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Tonight, we welcome El Patron from CupheadCoin, plus some degenerate gamblers, and a whole bunch of crazy apes. Featuring Jean-Baptiste and Stay Human. Please allow me to introduce myself. Here's Donnie. Thank you. Your wonderful audience. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Okay, stop clapping. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another very special episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump, where I have the honor and privilege of guest hosting tonight's show from me, lavishly luxurious Phoenix Holding Studio. I am, of course, your host, Not Donald Trump, as well as the regular businessman and degenerate investor. Our guest tonight is El Patron from CupheadCoin. Thank you, El Patron, for joining us here tonight in the Phoenix Holding Studio. It's a pleasure to meet you. How are you on this lovely evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for hosting us. I know you guys all have very busy schedules, and each and every person listening in here has various things going on. So we are very, very appreciative of your time joining us here and listening to a couple of things we have to say. So thank you very much.
And thank you very much for joining us. We're absolutely happy to have you with us. Now, before we start, I just want to give a quick briefing of how this is going to work. We will have an open floor after my questions are done, at which point we will be allowing the rest of the participants to raise their hands. Until that time, the rest of these filthy degenerates will remain muted. And just a reminder to those of you listening that absolutely none of us here are financial advisors, and you should always, always do your own research. Tonight, you lucky listeners have the opportunity to be a part of a BNB giveaway by either, by asking questions either by voice or by text during the open floor segment of tonight's show. If you look in the text chat, Squale has posted instructions of how to be eligible for the BNB giveaway. First, you join the CupheadCoin Telegram, then you join our voice chat here. You also join the Phoenix Holdings announcement channel. Then you ask us some questions, and as a bonus, you also write who's here, and then you get the best chance of winning part of the BNB giveaway. So now that we got all of that out of the way, a lot of words here. El Patron, are you ready to begin?
Yeah, let's do it. More ready than ever.
Perfect. So to start us off here, before we talk about the project itself, let's get to know a bit more about you. Who the hell are you, and why should these degens trust you and your team with their hard-earned beans?
Yeah, man. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Texas. Born and raised here. I went to college at a prominent university here. Did 3 degrees there. I did finance, entrepreneurship, and real estate. After I graduated from there, I moved back to my hometown, started a couple of companies in oil and gas, and one in construction, which I currently do now. And all throughout, I was doing a little bit of crypto trading, just your kind of regular investor, just like many of you, doing different projects, hyping into different things, kind of learning about BSC, as you'll probably hear from my partner Yanyo here. He was really getting deep into BSC, and he kind of brought me along and kind of showing me a little bit of the ways of how to invest in it and different things like that. And so that's kind of where this whole thing took us. Just like many of you, being the regular investors, we experience the same kind of issues that a lot of you face. And I say that regarding when you invest, getting rugged, getting scammed, getting lied to, getting into projects where the dev doesn't really put the community first. And so I've been through all of that just in the same way I'm sure a lot of you have. And so it was with that mindset that me and him shared that same sentiment and decided to try to create something more, try to create a safe space with just a real coin that's very transparent. And that really puts the family first. And that's kind of what we started to do here. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself. And that's kind of what got me into crypto trading and ultimately led me to create this coin.
Thank you, and appreciate appreciate getting to know a bit more about you and your background. Now, you mentioned your dev team partner. I can't remember, the name already escaped me, unfortunately. Are they in the chat? Are they in the chat right now, so I can unmute them?
Muñano might be in here right now. I don't see that he's in here now, but I know he was running home. He had to run a quick errand with his daughter, so he'll probably hop in here. But I'll kind of pick up from where he left off. In real life, me and him are actually best friends. We've known each other for over a decade. We grew up in hometowns not far from each other, and so we've known each other throughout the years. And kind of circling back to one of the questions that you asked here shortly, you asked, why should these people trust us with their hard-earned money? And I answer this question often, and I always answer it like this, is you shouldn't trust me because you don't know me. I'm just a stranger to you. I'm just a face on the screen, right? You shouldn't just trust random people. That's not a smart thing to do. But what I would love the opportunity for you to do is to join us in our Telegram. You don't even have to bind, but allow us to earn your trust. Allow us to speak with you. Join our AMAs, kind of see how we move things, how we kind of develop the project, how we push it. And I promise you, in a very short while, we will have earned that trust, and we would love that opportunity to do so. So when you ask me, should you trust me? You shouldn't. I'm a stranger, but give me some time to earn it, and I promise you we will.
I got to say, I honestly love your answer to that question, because when I came up with the questions that when I took the time to develop these questions that I have for these AMAs, I actually created the first one kind of as a trick question, because you see a lot of people when they're in these AMAs and they're trying to pitch themselves, they're always like, "Oh, you should trust us. We have so many years in the BSC scene. We created all these previous projects that went to such million market cap, and we're base devs and all that fun stuff." And it's like really, you still have no idea who these people are in the BSC space. So the fact that you because honestly, the answer that you gave, personally, that is kind of the answer that I'm looking for from an actual honest person. So I definitely appreciate the fact that you actually responded the way you did, because the truth is, like you said, no matter who you're in the BAC, no matter who you're in the DeFi space with, you can never truly trust anyone. And so this is the importance, again, of always being able to do your own research. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Gladly. And so yeah, even the fact that you got off the ground by saying, hey, the truth is that you shouldn't trust us because, like you said, I'm just a guy on a screen. That is honestly more honesty right there than we see from a lot of other projects just starting off. So definitely thank you for that. And so now let's turn our attention to the project itself. What is your project and what makes it worth investing in?
Yeah, okay. So kind of segueing into what we're just talking about, just transparency and being honest. As I mentioned, we really wanted to tackle the issue of all the shortcomings that we've seen in BSC. And so when we were trying to create a token, before we even decided kind of the concept that we wanted to change, there's three core things that we wanted to really implement into the project, regardless of what the title was, regardless of what the theme was. And those three things are safety, transparency, and putting your family first. And safety, that's just what it goes into. Being safe, being able to trust us, letting us earn that trust. I'm just a regular individual like you guys. I have a job. I know the amount of time it takes for a hard-earned dollar, whether it's $1 or $100. And so we treat that as so. Whenever we get investors, I know that you work hard for this money. I know that you have family members that depend on you, whether it be children, whether it be a spouse, whether it be your parents, or even yourself. And so we take all that into consideration, and we treat that with very, very soft hands, in the sense that you work for that hard-earned money, and we're not going to take advantage of you and just kind of throw it out there. The second of those things being transparency. I think that's very hard to find nowadays. And we always tell our Cuphead family, we're going to give you the good along with the bad. We want to be transparent in everything that we do. Whenever there's great things, we're going to give them to you and celebrate them with you. And then when we face hardships, whenever we face a few bumps in the road, we're going to share that with you too, so we can tackle it as a family. So that way we can all brainstorm together. Some of the smartest people that have ever accomplished things are not necessarily because they themselves are geniuses, but rather they surround themselves with people that are smarter than they are. And so that's kind of the approach that we take. I don't claim to be the smartest person in the room, but I will go find the answer if I don't know it. And I love the fact that we have a real strong family that helps each other. We brainstorm together to tackle certain things. And so I think when we put all of our heads together, all of our intelligence, it really, really pushes it to the next level. And the third thing is family first. At Cuphead, we don't really use the word community too much. We use the word family. And that's what we like to think of all of our holders as. Even if you're not a holder, just talking into the Telegram, that's what we do. We like to put the family first. We like to put the interest first. Everything that we do, we get the family's input, whether it be on a marketing strategy, whether it be on our taxes, whether it be on a new project that we're about to start, as far as, like developing, one thing we'll go into later is like our NFTs or anything like that. We always get the input of the family first, and we kind of let that drive the project itself. And so those three things was what we wanted to do to implement in our project. So then that led us to the next part. Okay, we got those three core fundamentals down. Now, what do we want this to be about? So, Yanyo
and even touching on the point of transparency, I mean, the fact that we are actually able to see you here in front of us today, as opposed to just hearing you, like, I've done a lot of AMAs so far, and you are the first developer that I've actually been able to see on camera and not just hear through the voice chat. So the fact that this is already a major step from above what a lot of these other projects do, in that, like, we can actually see you face to face and you're speaking with your own natural voice, as opposed to just taking a guessing game of who could be the man behind the curtain, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think we really wanted to be able to relate to each and every person, just to put a face to the name. You know what I mean? We're not hiding from anything. We're not trying to do any schemes or gimmicks. Kind of what you see is what you get. And that really is kind of what we're hoping kind of takes this to the next level. And so, yeah, that's kind of what put those core fundamentals there. And so when we started to research how we were going to take this approach, what the theme was going to be, Yanyo had actually came up with Cuphead. And so that was one of like top three things we were looking at. And so we were researching, and the more we researched, that kind of was the head horse leading the race as far as what we wanted to tackle. We knew several things, and as we dug deeper, we learned a multitude of things. And so, as we were starting out, this was, a couple weeks back or longer. And so we knew that coming up on February 18th, which just passed a few days ago, Netflix was premiering Cuphead. Which Cuphead, if you guys don't already know, was a game that was already created by Studio MDHR. And so that was a huge success. They already had their own serials out of it. They already had their own action figures. It was huge in the Japanese and Chinese communities. And so it already had its own buzz going on. And then so.
And have you played Cuphead yourself before?
I've played it once a long time ago when I was younger. And so I had not played it. And to be quite honest with you, I hadn't really kept up with it or kept it in mind. But Yanyo, my partner, had. And so that kind of led us to start, going down this rabbit hole and researching more, and come to find out through our research. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Parrot Analytics. They kind of just put out different studies and research on different shows, or kind of versus the market. And so we knew it was already big in the Chinese and Japanese market, but even at home, we're from the USA. So we said, let's see what those stats look like. And we found out that the Cuphead show that was upcoming in the last 30 days had 6.2 times the demand than the average US TV series. And wow, that demand had increased over 200% in that last 30 days. And a big stat that stuck out for us, that it was ranked in the 88.2 percentile for children's shows all across the board. So what that means is that there's a higher demand than 88.2% of all children's shows. That alone already kind of had its own buzz. So knowing that it was already going to come in a few weeks, we kind of took the approach of, I'm sure you guys see it all the time. Elon tweets something, then there's 50 coins trying to start with that same name right off the bat, trying to ride the wave. And that goes with everything. We didn't want to try to ride a wave, or we didn't want to try to catch the tail end of a movement. We wanted to create the wave in the BSC. We wanted to be the first ones. And so
that's proactive as opposed to reactive.
That's correct. That's correct. And so we were like, man, let's create this thing. And then lastly, and I say this lastly for a reason, is Elon loves Cuphead. If you just Google Elon Musk and Cuphead, you'll see a multitude of articles. In fact, in 2019, he even put Cuphead to stream on his 2019 Teslas. And so the reason I said that last is because a lot of people are just banking on a tweet from him. If nothing else happens, if he never tweets about it, there's already a great following. There's already a great buzz for Cuphead. So him tweeting or something like that would just be the icing on the cake. It's not dependent on that. And I think that's very important for people to understand that. So that's kind of with all those statistics in mind, we said, you know, it's a no-brainer. Let's go ahead and start this project. And so that's what caused us to launch it.
And now, in regards to Cuphead and the with the game and the TV show and the concept, is there any relation between your team and the actual Cuphead, like the actual game team? Like, do they know about this token?
Yeah, so that's great that you asked that. So I'll kind of segue into some of the utilities whenever we launched it, how we wanted to do it, because that plays a huge factor into that. So once we decided to launch it, we said, all right, there's a few things we want to do. We want to stealth launch it so that way we can get some good organic growth. But before even putting it into play, let's go ahead and come up with a roadmap, if you will. We use a little bit of a different terminology. We call it a living document. And I don't know if a lot of you listeners know what a living document is. A living document
constantly change, I believe, right?
It's constantly changing. It's constantly staying updated. And the reason for that is, as you can see, anybody that's had success, whether it be an athlete, a musician, a corporation, the only people that are going to have longevity are people that are able to adapt with the times. That means with new technology that comes out, with new concepts. Maybe things change. Maybe a buzz isn't there anymore. So you constantly have to be adapting to it. And so we created a living document with several items, 3 of those that we wanted to hit real quick right off the jump. And then also some stuff that the wheels are already moving on, but might take a little bit longer, might be a little more challenging. And so when we first started, we wanted to go ahead and reach out to Netflix themselves and try to create an official partnership. We know that there's been a bunch of coins, Squid Games, for example, that have been based off of Netflix shows, but nobody's ever had an official partnership. We wanted to be the first. And so we started that process. A few weeks back, I personally had some contacts of some upper management in Netflix, and so I met with them, and they've kind of been passing my messages along to the chief of marketing. So much so, they kind of took a little bit of a step with us, nothing huge, but they gave us about 5 or 6 Netflix free subscriptions to their premium channel to give away, and just kind of to see where that could go with it. Yeah, so we did a few of those, and then we reported to them at the end of this week. We're supposed to meet up again this week and kind of see how that went. What do they look like at that? Can they trust us with more? And so that's kind of where that's at. It's not making huge leaps and bounds, but it is a foot in the door, and that's what we're working on. And
well, especially in the fact that Netflix is actually entertaining this idea and also is willing to, even give those subscriptions in the first place. The fact that they're pretty much on board with the concept is, and not just, they see some random DeFi crypto project coming along and being like, hey, we want to support, we want to be like a support token for this show. What can we do for you? What can you do for us? And like, oh, this is just another PND, go away. The fact they're actually, engaging with you and they're actually genuinely interested, I think that's the biggest foot in the door, honestly, towards progress.
Yeah, man, we think it's huge. And we try to take an approach, like I've done a lot of business dealings, and for lack of better words, when you're making a deal with a big corporation, excuse my language, but they don't give a shit about you. When they're a big corporation, they want to know what value you're going to bring to them. And so
please use any language you want. We're all adults here, so it's all good.
Okay, yeah. And so that's kind of where we're at. We wanted to approach them with how we're going to add value to them to try to extend their reach into the crypto world and do something that they haven't done. And all to make it official. They also know what I look like. I've had multiple video chats and phone meetings with them. So it kind of makes it more legit in taking that approach. And so we've also, at the same time you were asking about the game, I'm glad you asked that. There's already a game in existence. So we've reached out to them as well at the end of this past week, and we're trying to implement to the already existing game 2 things: to implement a concept that you can get a kind of a play to earn type of style with what they already have. And number two, if we can extend that game into the metaverse. And so we're waiting to hear back on them. I'm not sure if they work on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know some of those guys are, big time, and I don't know if they check their email as often as they do, but we've already extended that branch to them. And, we'll kind of go from there. We have high hopes for it. We kind of took the same approach that we did with Netflix, and it proved to be somewhat successful so far with Netflix. We're hoping to have the same kind of success with that game. And if not so, then we'll go back to the drawing board and figure out how we're going to do that. But like I said, transparency is key. And so we're going to keep everybody updated with how this progresses, whether it's good or bad, and how we need to develop from there.
So in terms of the play to earn concept of the CupheadCoin concept, is this something that you're looking to integrate into the original Cuphead game, or would the play to earn version of the Cuphead game be kind of a standalone entity?
I think starting off, we would just implement it to what's already there. It's such a big market to do a standalone. I don't know how quick the current users or veteran users, this game's been out for so long, would be susceptible to starting something new. So we
exactly, especially when you see some of these spin-off projects. Sorry to cut you off, but when you see some of these spin-off projects that they're based on other existing things, and they try to create their own, play to earn is a big thing that's kind of exploded in the past, I guess 6 months or whatever. But they do a lot of things. They try to create their own standalone things, their own standalone games, whether they're using Unreal Engine or some like Mario-based thing or what have you. But I mean, frankly, to be honest, their games always look like shit because they always look like games that you see like in the early '90s, or they're just starting in the mid 2000s. It's like it's great that you get that. It's great that the concept is there that you can make money out of this, but the game itself doesn't really look competitive, or it doesn't look, like it would compete with actual titles in the rest of the game, the general gaming market, despite the fact that you can earn money off it. So right. I think the fact that you're looking to integrate into the existing established Cuphead game and the success that it's already had to kind of give it an extra incentive for people to play and to kind of interface with your project, that's honestly, I think the smarter, at least in my opinion, that is the smarter route to take than to try and reinvent the wheel from the ground up.
Right. I couldn't agree more, 100%. And also, a lot of people aren't necessarily adaptive to change that quickly too. So we definitely wanted to already use the environment and market that they've already captured and kind of work that to grow it more. And then also we wanted to capture those existing users and try to kind of, just like we're doing with the everyday user here, earning their trust. That's kind of what we want to do there. To know we're not just a kind of, like you said, a quick gimmick that isn't worth anything, that's trying to stand on its own 2 feet. We'd rather kind of stand together with them and then hopefully maybe branch off in the future. But definitely stay connected.
I like that idea. So speaking of for the future, let's talk a bit more about the roadmap that you have for this project and the living document, if you will. You've already done the stealth launch. You've done these negotiations. What other long-term plans do you have for the future of this project?
Yeah, so 2 quick things that we're already kind of in the works with, and hopefully we can get off the ground real soon. Number one, we wanted to have an entire swapping and staking platform. I know that's kind of become the staple nowadays when you look at a lot of long-term projects. We want to give these users a seamless process when it comes to purchasing or earning money back on your existing tokens. And so that's one thing we'd like to tackle real quick. And another big thing is we'd like to create 50 exclusive NFTs based on the characters of this game. There will be 50 only. There won't be any more after that. So kind of make the exclusivity of that even more. And so,
if those, with the NFTs, if you do manage to get the, I guess both Netflix and the Cuphead developers on board with the project, is there a possibility that those NFTs would be licensed?
Yes, actually, that's exactly what we're trying to do right now. So that would just explode the value of it, more than we could ever think of. So, doing things legitimately is what we're trying to do first. Even though it takes a little more time, I think it's more valuable in the end. It's kind of like when you create a company, you can create any company or concept, but unless you have the paperwork, the actual filings then it's really worthless unless you have that, because you can't really make contracts, you can't really license things. And so that's
Exactly.
kind of what we're moving to first. We really want to tackle this partnership and kind of work that angle, and so that way we can get licensed to go ahead and create these NFTs. And with the show barely taking off the ground, we want to kind of give it some time as well to get feedback from the market, from the family, from everybody, and kind of seeing of who, obviously you have your Cuphead, the main character, but who else is kind of popping off as far as characters? Who do people like? Who do they dislike? Who do they kind of think is worthless? Not really time to mess with it. Also, we've been looking at the show. Is it going to continue to kind of keep the old concept that it has been of the game, or is it going to migrate into kind of something new, maybe spawn off some new characters? And so we really want to get all those analytics in and really review them, so that way when we do finish up these designs, we know exactly of how many of a certain character we want to do. And we want to do various ones, maybe kind of like somewhat the way Lazy Apes did, same ones of different characters, but, of different versions. And so we're looking at all of that and trying to take all of that in. But yes, licensing would be the first big thing that we'd love to have on our checklist.
Oh, certainly. And licensing definitely adds to the credibility of the project, because you see a lot of these projects that are popping up, like fan projects, homage projects, like you said, with the squid tokens and all that. And then with things that are based on literally anything that Elon tweets or what have you, things that are based on, existing entities in the real world, but of course they're just fan creations. Well, I use the term fan loosely because a lot of them are just trying to build on the branding for the sake of making their own money in the DeFi space. But having that official backing behind you, it would definitely set you apart from pretty much anything else that's out there, because actually having the team and the legal entity behind you, it helps to add to the emphasis that you guys are legitimate.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's kind of what we want to do, is legitimize it, not just for ourselves, but for the community. We want to put their mind at ease. We want to not only do that for new investors, but also for the current ones, people that have been pushing behind us and stuck with us. I haven't gone in too much depth into this, and I'm sure that you guys feel the same way about your channel. But I feel like we have a very, very strong floor. We have a very, very strong family. And one concept we always tell our family in the Cuphead chat is, if you look at any big structure, whether it be a skyscraper, whether it be a giant tree, their foundation is laid deep into the earth. That skyscraper, that tree can only go as tall and as big as that foundation is underground. The roots of the system that hold it in place, that is how big your project can be. And so I think that when we first stealth launched it, you'll notice we didn't do any big calls. We stealth launched it at $890. And, first time people would just say, well, go get big calls, go get a lot of volume. That's not what we wanted to do. We first started just doing with word of mouth. So that way we could grow organically, only people that were going to really stick with this. And so that's kind of what we did. And it really proved to be successful for us. We were growing slowly, but at a steady rate, and just continually to spread our roots, to spread our foundation. And then we ultimately, from $890, we went to an all-time high of $372,000. And then we still haven't even got all of our big calls yet. We haven't even rolled out the big guns yet. And so we're barely starting to implement those things. But the main purpose of it was to get those roots in the ground, to get that foundation so we can really shoot this thing up to where it needs to be.
And that is honestly the best way to approach that, because a lot of these projects that you see as well, the ones that are just, the hype coin projects, as I like to call them. And side point before I continue, but I think I saw Muñano just hopped in the chat, so if you'd like, okay, I can let him speak as well, or give him the ability to speak whenever he wants to chime in. But yeah, with these a lot of these hype coin projects that are just trying to cater to the Moon Boys, especially when they're in the pre-sale phase. You always see everybody jumping in, being like, when call channel, when PooCoin ad, when whatever the hell, and they put all this effort. They literally shotgun all their funds, all the resources into marketing either at or before the time of launch. And what happens is you get this massive green candle at the very beginning of the token launch, but then you get an immediate crash right afterwards because everyone's simply selling on that one candle. And the fact that the chart has already gone up and down, like, it pretty much never recovers after that, especially when it's not a project of actual substance. So the fact that you're planning on doing more of a gradual, kind of a well-paced rollout, like you said, starting by word of mouth, doing that stealth launch, and then eventually building on the bigger marketing after that. That's definitely a smarter way to, at least in my opinion, the smarter way to go about it, because it continues, like you said, the organic growth of the chart in the community, as opposed to just everyone jumping on the hype right at once, and then you never see or hear from the project again after that. So that being said, let's talk a bit more about the tokenomics of the token itself. Give us a rundown on the function of the token contract, such as the taxes for the buy and sell, the internal functions of the token itself, all that fun jazz.
Yeah, so Yanyo can go in a little bit more in detail in this, but right off the bat, we started it at 7 and 7, which was 14% buy, 14% sell. 7 was to the LP and 7 was to the marketing, and that really has kind of strengthened our LP. If you can see the ratio, it's really, really at a good spot. We'd love to give it even stronger. As well as our marketing, it kind of helped us grow. It's real simple. We also had a max transaction of, I believe it was 5%. So that way, you wouldn't get too many people with huge wallets right off the jump. If you go look at our holders, there's not one that's just really skewed more than the others that could dump into it. And if they are, they're probably part of the higher ones, or part of our core team. And so that's kind of the gist of it. It's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too crazy. We're not, like you said, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just more taking the approach of just being a good, solid, honest project and just kind of growing it organically from there. So yeah, that's pretty much what our tokenomics is. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's stuff that you guys have seen every day. And so, with that being said, that's something you can kind of dig into more and really trust. We already have paid for our contract to be audited. Supposed to get it yesterday, but sometimes that stuff takes a little bit longer. So if we don't get it today, hopefully tomorrow, and we can post the links for everybody to go to see. We also paid for KYC. You've already seen my face. Yanyo has as well. We do
very handsome devil you are, sir.
Thank you, man. We do daily video chats with all of our family members in there, so you get to see our faces daily. But as far as having the official documents, we've already paid for those as well. So those are already on the way. For those that are asking about CMC, CG, we've also already submitted that. It looks like we met all the requirements. We didn't try to go and do the illegal way of trying to fast track. And, although that's very appealing to a lot of people, we always want to stay legitimate. We'd never want that to come back on us and hurt us or hurt the family. We want to just do it the right way. There's nothing wrong with doing things the right way. I think a lot of times in the world nowadays, people like to take shortcuts, and that's not us. That's not this project. We like to do things the right way. And I think that will prove through time that we'll have continued success just for that reason.
Exactly, and I completely agree. I couldn't agree more with that, and I believe that's the right way to approach it. Because, like you said, you want to be around. You want to have some staying power, so you can actually, be around for, of course, a lot longer than just that. That first up and down on the chart, because you actually want to be established as a proper, legitimate project. And touching on the point of CGCMC fast tracking, I've seen a lot of people are too caught up in the pump that CG and CMC listings provide. For example, a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there have been some notable projects that have, I know you can't really do this with CoinGecko, because I think they have some volume requirements, but I know with CoinMarketCap, for example, some projects have been able to get CoinMarketCap listing before their tokens have even launched. And one of the problems with this, not just in terms of legitimacy concerns, but also in terms of longevity, is that that extra attention that they get from CoinMarketCap listing before launch, all it does is create a giant green candle early on, and then again just dumps the chart instantly. So these projects that are getting this CoinMarketCap listings in the initial phase of their launch aren't fully taking advantage of the of the potential that coin market cap and these like registry listings provide. So it's almost like, sure, they're spending all this extra money to get it earlier on because they think that's what the community wants, but in the end, they're actually hurting their project and even wasting more money than they're actually putting it to proper use.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, or have said it better. That's exactly what happens. And I've been a part of those projects where, I jump in and either I jump, I don't have fast enough internet service and get wrecked, or
Oh, yeah.
it just gets dumped, and So I've been a part of all those things that you mentioned. I've been the end user in that, where you just kind of get screwed over in the project. And so when we made this, we wanted to avoid all of those things. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. And that's why we took that approach, man. I couldn't agree more.
Definitely a smart move. And so touching on the marketing aspects of this token, besides the AMA that you're on with us right now, and you mentioned also the daily video AMAs that you're holding with your community, what are some other marketing plans that you have in store to help promote this project? I know that a lot of projects don't want to reveal too much about their marketing plans until further down the road, but how much info are you able to provide us at this time?
Well, other than, to say the cliche things first, yes, we have big calls coming, right? First thing everybody says.
All the call channels.
Calls coming. Yeah, so we do have several of those coming up. We have many more AMAs. I don't want to throw those people's name out there until, it's solidified. I know they've asked us not to even put that in our chat. So, yes, other than the obvious, we have those coming. We're actually also making some merch right now that is going to kind of go with the coin and the Cuphead trend. We'd love to get that going on. I love wearing hats and shirts and things like that, man. Maybe we can send you guys some. But we definitely want to continue the word of mouth aspect of it. And I think when you have merchandise, when you have things like that, people see that, hey, what is that about? Just to spark the question. Once you get the question sparked, then you can really, really get your name out there. And so other than calls, other than marketing, we're also looking at different other avenues to go through. That means through YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We want to do a whole ad campaign through all of those things, as well as Twitter. If we can really get those big channels, social media channels rather, trending, that would be a huge help. So call channels, other avenues of social media, merchandise, and then we also are looking into kind of a bigger picture as far as billboards. Now, everybody rushes into Times Square. I've been to Times Square many times. It's kind of hard to look up and see a sign and say all of a sudden, oh, man, I want that coin right there. Nobody really does that. A lot of people there are just tourists taking pictures, looking around. And I'm not knocking anybody who's done that. I think that's a really cool idea. Just to say you've done it is really awesome. But, no, we want to look into more, try to tackle more advertisement in the gaming community, whether it could be places that sell games, or anything like that, online places, PooCoin ads, but really kind of do some research, because I don't have all those answers just yet. Where is the most traffic for gamers? And I'm sure there's a multitude of places, but how can we advertise that there? How can we get our name in front of those people? And so that's kind of the other aspect we're looking at. But I would say those four things are really what we're trying to bring to the table here in the next few days leading up into weeks and things like that. Actually, as a matter of fact, we just started our YouTube channel. We're working on uploading videos. We'll upload this AMA on there as well. And then we'll kind of work with other influencers to kind of help us push that.
Sounds good. And those sound like some solid plans, honestly. Moving on to the next question, I just wanted to quickly turn attention to the text chat here. Got a question from Willie Crypto, because my next question relates to this anyway. But you also did mention previously, you did mention earlier on in this AMA about the different audits and measures that you're putting in place for the security of this token. But let's just take a minute to reiterate here. Since Muli asks, have you been audited? Have not heard you talk about that security of funds in what, I guess punctuation. Have not heard you talk about that. Security of funds is what every investor craves for and plans to escape in case of insecurity of funds, scams, and rug pulls. How strongly built are your security put in place? So I guess what measures are you taking to ensure the security of investors' assets?
Yeah, so obviously we've got our stuff locked. I think it expires at the end of March. We've agreed that as we hit more and more milestones, we will extend that. That's kind of an incentive. You don't want to just lock it up for a year right off the back and then there's no really incentive for people to go show their bag, no goals to obtain. And so locking our LPs is one that we've definitely done. We're looking into other aspects of it. I trust the people that we locked it. You can check on Mudra how we've done it, but even kind of adding another security aspect of that would be nice. I've heard of several where somebody said kind of you can double lock it. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research into that. We're looking into something that has that. And then as far as
double lock is like multi-sig functionality. So I think it's one of those things where like if you want to spend tokens or spend some sort of crypto from a wallet, then you need somebody else to sign off at the same time in order for that transaction to take place.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, so I think that'd be a great idea just to add even more security on that. And then we're looking through a multitude of audits. Yanyo, I believe he's the one that organized this first audit that we're doing. But we're not just going to do that one. We like to do several of them just so that people can feel at ease and know that their funds, their investment that they're making with us is definitely solid. And like I was saying earlier, let us earn your trust. Come hear what we have planned. Come hear us talk daily. If you really want a personal video chat, I'll DM you and we can hop on one. So we try to take the consumer and all of our family members with us in every aspect of our project. So we would love to hit the security from every angle that we can, whether it be from the lock, whether it be from audits, and then whether it be just from person to person. Can you trust us? You can see me. Very soon you'll know my real name. You'll know probably pretty much where I live and stuff like that. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to hide from anything, and neither is my partner or our team members. We very much willingly tackle anything like that. We like to hit it head on. We welcome questions like that. We welcome people that have insecurities about it. Bring it on. Come and talk to us, man. We want to put those at ease and put it to rest so you can trust us 100%. And that's how we really can moon this thing together.
And I think any investor can greatly appreciate that. So definitely thank you for that. So coming into my last question before we open the floor to the rest of the audience here to ask their questions. Decentralized finance is still a relatively foreign concept to the majority of mainstream consumers. How will this project help introduce more mainstream investors to DeFi?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. I think this is a unique project in the sense that it's already to the everyday user as far as, like I gave you those statistics as far as the Cuphead game and the Cuphead show. People that are consuming into this game and into this show aren't necessarily DeFi investors. So I think that with our unique attempt at getting this partnership off the ground with not only Netflix, but also the creators of this game, that helps us, like we were saying, legitimize ourselves so that people that ever had their doubts about crypto trading in general for a multitude of reasons may be able to take a step into it, just to dabble in it, just to read about it. Maybe, if we can plant that seed, then I believe that we have the opportunity to water it and really grow it into fruition. So your everyday person that's not into DeFi, maybe they will. Maybe they're a huge Cuphead show fan. Maybe they've been playing the game for years, and then they see this play to earn concept. Then you see this kind of partnership with Netflix. Might spark an idea, might spark a thought, and that's all that we need. I need just that seed implementation, and I believe we can take it to the next level. If they just come into our Telegram chat, anything like that, maybe they read one of these headlines that we're putting out there, maybe a YouTube video, or maybe an ad campaign, they'll remember that, and that can be the first step into getting our foot into the door with them. And so we would like for them to come and check it out more. And like I said at the very beginning of this, they don't have to trust us. You shouldn't right off the jump, but let us earn it. Give us time to see what BSC is all about. I would love nothing more than for somebody's first project, somebody's first investment into crypto to be the safest one with us. I couldn't be more appreciative for that opportunity. And I sure hope that we can have it.
So in terms of legitimization and establishing yourself, you and your team are based in the States, correct?
That's correct.
How do you plan on, if you guys become more established and gain more of a legitimate and corporate foothold in the States, how do you plan on navigating the regulatory requirements for cryptocurrency in the States? Because they're not the most friendly in terms of crypto projects for for facilitating them?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. I personally, without giving certain names out there, I personally have ties to different politicians that are in it. My brother's actually running for a political seat as we speak, and so I kind of have a direct channel into what laws are coming into effect, who's implementing them, who's writing those bills. Because our system works a little bit different than everybody else's. So there's always a person that's creating a bill. There's always a person that's putting something into effect. Obviously, it goes up the ladder into a vote. So I know more or less the things, the in and outs of daily things, whether it be from personal relationships or even my wife is in politics. So I kind of have an in and an avenue to what's coming, what's happening, who I need to reach out with. And then just like our living document, how do we adapt to it? How are we going to tackle it? Because before it even becomes a law, more times than none, I already know about it. And so I'll already be in the back kind of, how can we adapt to what's coming? And I think that that's a huge, huge advantage as far as staying legitimate and also, adapting our project if need be to what's going to come. If there's stricter laws coming, how are we going to go around that? How are we going to keep this successful? And so that's roads that we'll cross when they come and as they come, because they will come. And I think that that's a huge asset that we have that differs us from other people on the market.
It's definitely a smart way to approach that. So I appreciate the efforts that you're taking to address that. So that brings us to the end of the questions that I have myself. So we're going to move our attention over to both the voice chat and the text chat for the studio audience. So that being said, for those of you participating, you also have the opportunity to win a portion of a BMB giveaway for the questions asked during tonight's AMA. So we're going to open the floor to people in the text chat and the voice chat. If you are in the voice chat, please raise your hand if you'd like an opportunity to speak. And we are going to start with Abdul Rahim in the voice chat. Abdul, please go ahead and ask a question.
Hi, bro.
Hey, what's up, Abdul? How are you doing? Thanks for being here.
Thank you. My question is, can I buy Cuphead NFTs with Cup tokens? Is there any NFTs like common to rare?
Yeah, we're looking at as far as how we could purchase them. Yes, that was one aspect we're doing of purchasing with Cuphead tokens. We're also looking at doing some giveaways, kind of like a lottery style. So that's another one. And then also kind of big buy contests. So those three things are definitely things that we're tackling as far as when it comes to purchasing these coins. But that's a great question. Yeah, we're looking into that.
Oh, okay. So how can we play the Cuphead game in like a Steam, Xbox?
Yeah, so there's a different multitude of different channels that it's on. I know you can play it on all of those. There's also the CPU game from it. If you DM me, I can probably give you a list of different ones that it's on. Now, keep in mind, just so there's no misunderstanding, we do not have the opportunity for the play to earn yet. That's still in the works. So if you play, you'd just be playing the regular Cuphead game. As I mentioned, I don't know if you were here earlier on, we've already extended our branch to the original creators to see how we can implement to the already existing game. But yeah, you can look up exactly where you can play the Cuphead game, how you can access it. But as far as play to earn, that has not been implemented yet, but it will be soon.
That's good, bro.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That was great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Abdul. And so we're hopping over back to the text chat where Float asks, I like the Netflix trailer, but the comic/art is Netflix. Why do you think Netflix will partner up with you there? As of now, I don't see any use if you don't have the license. Are you having references on past projects which show Netflix that you can do what you offered them? Oh, which show Netflix that they can do what you offer them.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question correctly. Are you asking, have we done this with any previous show? Is that what they're asking?
Yeah, I can talk.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
can
Flo.
you hear me?
Yeah.
So yeah, the question is, I mean, you explained it a bit earlier that you reached out to Netflix and you want a cooperation with them. And then my question is like, I mean, if you go to a company like Netflix, I believe you would need to give them some references of previous projects or of your work where your developer is showing that you are able to do an NFT contract or these things. So that's the question basically.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that a little bit better now. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, that's a great question and a legitimate one. Is that I think what's helped us so far is my contacts that have already been working for Netflix. They're seasoned veterans and they've been with Netflix for 10 plus years, and so they've been helping vouch for me and our project. And so not only on the crypto side, but they've seen I've showed them my past companies that I've created, so they know the legitimacy of it, how much they've grown as far as numbers, so they know the kind of businessman that I am personally. And then they've kind of seen our passion for them. We've sought to statistics to them of research that we've done and how we could benefit them versus also how they could kind of help us in both aspects. So it's really a mutual benefit thing that we're working on with them. And so as far as have we been able to do this before? No, your answer is no. We have not created a token that was on a previous Netflix show and then put it into an official partnership or licensing. That has never been done before. As a matter of fact, as I was saying, I don't think anybody in any previous project has been able to do that, but we want to be the first. And a lot of people say, well, man, that's going to be really hard. That's going to be really challenging. You're right. You're exactly right. It's going to be extremely hard, extremely challenging, but that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here to create and do something that has never been done before. You know, when Elon created Tesla, I guarantee you he got a lot of the same remarks. But guess what? He's already into orbit. He's already grown his company a millionfold from where he started. And so that's exactly the aspect, the angle that we take. Although challenging, it's not impossible, especially with the team that we have and especially with the great root and foundation we have in the Cuphead family. Why not take a shot at it? Somebody's going to eventually do it. Mark my words. Somebody's going to eventually do it. Why not us?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's more like, but you said your developer, he is experienced in that matter, right? He knows how to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's kind of the angle we're taking, man. But yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Thanks for answering.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Float. So bringing our attention back over to voice chat, we have a question from YU. So YU, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. How you doing? Thanks for being here.
Hello, hey. My question, as we know today, the biggest problem is in non-crypto gaming project for blockchain games is that the initial cost of wanting to play is who get to play the game. So, can you help us to play Cuphead free of charge? Then can I rent NFT from someone to play Cuphead? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So you're asking me, make sure I'm understanding this correctly. You're talking about a free way to play Cuphead. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. We're looking at as far as into pricing to say for concrete that we for sure can. I'm not sure about that. YU, that's a great question. That's something that we have to crunch the numbers on. I love crunching numbers, but as we develop more and more, we're going to have to tackle that situation. And I completely agree with you. A lot of people don't have a lot of money to jump in and play. Some do, some don't. And so we're going to have to create a happy medium of ways that we can allow the end user of people that don't have money to play it, that still will be able to play it. And the ones that do that, it's going to be something that we're going to have to tackle. That's a great question. But we are looking into that. Maybe we can even create two versions. I don't know if you've seen, it's almost like an app. You've seen some apps. I do it all the time. You download them and you can only have so much access to certain aspects of the app. And then you got to like pay for the pro mode, you know, it's like, okay, you pay $4 extra. And now you have access to all of these or unlimited access for that year, whatever it may be. So maybe
like
that's
a free trial, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's one way we could do it. People that can play for free, but may not have access to all the aspects of the game, and what those aspects will be, I don't know right now. But that's definitely something we'll have to tackle.
If you do go that route, though, please avoid going the route of EA Games, because they nickel and dime for literally everything, and I think anyone who's in gaming loathes EA Games at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. It's like to do anything, you got to pay for it. It really gets exhausting, and me personally, it makes you not want to play it anymore. So definitely keeping that in mind, without a doubt.
Awesome. So moving over back to the text chat. Sorry, YU, does that answer your question?
No. Don't, sir. Thank you very much for answer. Sorry, my English is not good. I'm from Indonesia.
It's all good, my man. We understood you just fine. So moving over to the text chat, Keeling B asks, the total supply of Cup token is high. Do you have any plans for burning and repurchasing Cup tokens to increase the value?
Yeah, so at the start, we burned half of the supply. We started at a quadrillion, burned half of it. That's what was in there. We are exploring that, buybacks or more burns, manual burns. But we're just we have all of that lined up. We're not at that phase yet. But it is something that could possibly be coming in the near future. But that's just something that we'd have to make sure is beneficial for all of the family members and kind of coincides with what we're trying to achieve. There's certain targets that these listing places that we've applied for want us to hit. And really, so right now our main concern is hitting those aspects for them. I can't give you those exact numbers. Those are just kind of things that we've signed with some non-disclosures with them. And so that's what we're striving for. After we meet those and really get listed and expand our reaches, definitely we'll look into tackling that problem as well. But as in the immediate future, I don't think that we'll do a burn, as in, like, when I say immediate future, like not tomorrow or the day after that, but probably in the near future. Yeah, that's something we're looking at.
Sounds good. And so, let's see. Back to the text chat again. We have Woho, who asks, I really want to touch on the topic of being the first investment-grade decentralized true market aggregator. Can you tell us what that means and what benefits it delivers to users regarding ease of use, convenience, and reducing barriers to entry into the world of crypto?
Do you mean like being the first to partner with these companies? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I took a view of your website itself. I didn't see that terminology in there, but I was
kind of asking. But if you do mean being the first to partner with these guys, just kind of how we were discussing. I don't know if you were on here earlier, but that just gives us more legitimacy. It makes the value of what we're creating that much more real, that much more tangible. It can lead into a multitude of things. You can then, once you partner and have official licensing, you can partner with these big corporations who have reaches far bigger than ours, far bigger wallets than we do. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have as much money to spend on marketing as Netflix does. That'd be insane. And so to have them in your corner, have that backing, really not only legitimizes you, but it extends your reach farther than you could ever imagine. And so that's why it's very important to us. And also, kind of like we touched on, it gives us a kind of an avenue into getting those new investors, people that have never even thought of crypto, people that have never even, or even have a distaste for it. Helps us, give us the opportunity to change that. And so I think that partnership, being the first to ever do that, number one, being the first to do it, that already in itself would create a buzz for people that have been trying or been hearing about it. I think that'll have them join in. But then also for the everyday person that's out in the world that doesn't even know crypto exists, kind of using these places that they already use, Netflix, different gaming aspects, that kind of gives us another avenue to kind of get in their head, kind of get our foot in the door with them. And so an opportunity created is one, any of them is one that we want to take.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your question. El Patron, how are you doing for time, my man? Because I see we're coming up on the 1 hour mark, but we do have, it looks like we also have quite a lot of curious people in here. So since there's nothing after us, I've been informed. How are you feel about running for another 30 minutes?
Yeah, that's cool. I could probably do another 30.
Perfect. So let's move on then to yesterday, who asked today in the text chat, do the token holders have the right to participate in the governance of the project? On what kind of decisions can they vote on about the project? And do you have any plans to create other features, maybe yield farms, staking, or NFT projects? So you have mentioned the NFTs as well. Can you explain more detail?
Yeah, most definitely. So earlier we kind of touched on both of those. Those are in our living document. If you go to our Telegram channel, you type in living document, you can see kind of all the things that we want to tackle. Two of those things that you mentioned are on there as far as staking and swapping, then as far as NFTs. So kind of touching on those real briefly, I don't want to be too repetitive, but the swapping and staking is already kind of under works. When it will be revealed, it'll be a little bit before I can give you an exact timeline, but we want to give our holders that opportunity, as it's become kind of more of a staple in a lot of long-term projects. So that's something we really want to tackle. NFTs, we're already in the works on that, but we really want to get that partnership locked in before we really put those out there. And we also want to give the show time to develop. You know what I mean? The buzz isn't going to hit the very first day, even though there's already one created. You're not going to know what everybody likes, what everything is kind of panning out for on that first day. So we want to kind of see what the analytics are about, what the blogs are saying, what the fans are saying, and really take all those into consideration. Speaking of taking into consideration, that kind of goes into your other part of your question. How much power do the holders have? And the way I would answer that is kind of goes back to the way that we said one of our core values is putting the team first, the family first, the Cuphead family. And so they have a lot of say in what we do. In our daily AMAs, we kind of bring up different aspects of that living document and go into detail. We get multiple DMs. We answer questions on there. Some of them you can ask some of these, I think some people are on right now, have given us suggestions, and we've put those into the living document. And so they have an insane amount, a massive amount of influence on what's to come. And that's the way we created it, and that's the way we wanted it. As I said, there is not an enormous successful person or project or corporation that where the one person claims that they have all the answers, the end all be all. No, the smartest and most successful people in the world are those that surround themselves with people that are smarter than they are. Even though that you are smart, you're not going to have all the answers. And so that's where we look to our community. Our core team doesn't claim to know all the answers. We wouldn't want to know all the answers. That would be boring. So we look to our family, the Cuphead family, for those answers, for that input. Now, at the end of the day, there will never, ever be a time, let's be realistic, that every single holder and every single team member are going to agree 100% on a concept. That's never going to happen. That's wishful thinking. But we are very realistic. We do take those things. We run the analytics on them. We kind of crunch the numbers behind them. Some ideas are great. Some of them are going to cost more than we can afford right now. So maybe we'll implement them later. But we do take all of it into consideration. Nothing is ever off the table. Nothing. There is no idea that's stupid to us or not worth looking into. And so I would say that the average holder has an insane amount of influence on what we do. And that's the way that we want to keep it.
Thank you. And thank you yesterday for your question. Also, thank you, Woho, for your question earlier. I forgot to thank you as well. I just received a question directly in my inbox because I believe the user is in Telegram jail right now. I have a CR Toddler who asks, what if Netflix just gets the idea from you and ends up partnering with much bigger and experienced BSC players?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a huge possibility. I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that that's not a possibility. However, one thing that we do have is I'm great at writing contracts. And so before I even discuss anything with the people I personally know that's already on the Netflix team, and even before they're able to forward on any other aspects of what we've discussed, I make them sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I also make them sign a non-compete clause. So just to protect our ideas, to protect kind of everything that we're working on. If they did do it, then they could also face legal actions from us. And I personally know a team of lawyers that would happily take on that project, but we'd rather not go that route. And, they're pretty trustworthy people so far. Every big corporation kind of has their dark sides to them, but we do have the legal paperwork in place. Should that happen, we'll be ready for it.
Smart decision to do that, definitely. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that is, like I said, with that being a legitimate possibility, you always want to make sure that, like you said, somebody doesn't just take your idea of interacting with you and they're like, oh, hey, that's great, but since you brought this up, we're actually going to go with this other person that gives us, much better, much different opportunities, so to speak. I don't want to say better because, of course,
right,
everything's subjective, but yeah, once you put the deal forward, you want to ensure that if that deal has an interest from the other party, that they're actually going to commit to seeing it through with you and not just taking your concept and just running off with it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And that kind of goes back to what separates us from a lot of other teams. We know how to be legitimate. We know how to do the paperwork side of things. I know from creating my other companies what it takes to make sure you protect all of your assets, even from your thoughts into conversations you have with people. It's the most important thing that you have to do. So we know how to do the legitimate paperwork side of it first before we try to implement any of these utilities. And that's really to protect not only the project, but more importantly, to protect our investors.
Perfect. Appreciate that. So moving on to our next question in the text chat is from Alexis, who asks, right now, the problem is that most people evaluate projects based on the value of their tokens, not the technology or features that the project has. How can the Formation founder add educational value to his investors so that more people understand the value of the project rather than the price?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think we do a great job of that when we do our daily AMAs. That's kind of our educational piece. You get to see me, you get to talk to me in real time. And usually it's updates, not on the price. It's, as a matter of fact, I can't think of the last time we even really talked about price in our AMAs or video chats, rather, if you will. And that's because of that reason. Everybody's so focused on the chart, so focused on this. That does play a good role. That does play a significant role. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't. But more, we're focused with the tangible part of it, the utility, and how we can get our community educated on it. Because after all, we're not only for the marketing aspects that we said we're going to tackle, but your best point of marketing, as we proved in the beginning, was the organic growth. How did we get organic growth? Word of mouth. You can't go and get spread your project by word of mouth if the people spreading it aren't educated on what you're doing, if they're not up to date with the utilities that you're trying to create. So that's a huge, huge part of what we do. We like to educate our family. And then we have many seasoned people that have been there since like day one. I think we have like 9 members in the group. And so they've been very well educated on where we're taking this, what we want to do. And so if for whatever reason we're not in the chat personally, which we usually always are, one of us is, we have people that are in there helping people kind of bring them up to speed on what we're working on, where things are at. And then that all ties in when they hear it verbally and see it physically from us in our daily chats. So yeah, the education on the actual use of all of this is very important, and we take that very seriously. We try to touch on it every single day, sometimes multiple times per day. And so yeah, that in my opinion, that far outweighs just the price and the chart. It's what kind of product are you producing, or is it just all hype? And here, none of this is just all hype. This is real.
Thank you for that, and thank you, Alexis, for your question. Next question we have is from Ali Al-Gamil, who asks, we are seeing a lot of new projects with almost the same idea. What are your plans to distinguish your project from those other projects?
Man, I couldn't agree more. What kind of, other than the 3 things that we said earlier, which were our core reasons for developing this, which was safety, transparency, and putting the family first. Just those 3 things right there. If we did nothing else, if we had no utility, if we had no buzz, those 3 things were our core values of separating ourselves from other projects. I'm not saying that other ones don't exist that implement or try to implement those things. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that that was our whole point in really creating this, was to be separated in those 3 things. And those core values, I think, that are things that our holders and future NU will really appreciate. But then also, to further go into that, not just those 3 things of safety, transparency, and putting the community first, but also being the first to try to tackle those partnerships. If we can be the first at that, I don't know what else can separate you even more. But I think it's the whole project as a whole, our idea, the way we approached it, the way we organically grew it, just the whole culture that we have going on right now. If you go in that Telegram chat and just hang out, it'll be more obvious than anything else. You'll see kind of what our core values are and what separates it. So to you that asked that question, I would encourage you to come in our chat, give us an opportunity to see why we're different. Let us earn your trust, as I said, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
Thank you, and thank you, Ali, for your question. Next question we have is from Woho again, who asks, Since I'm a traditional player, I'd like to ask, is it easy for me to use your Cuphead platform? Additionally, I would like to ask what kind of player Cuphead is primarily aimed at bringing exposure to your work.
Yeah, so Cuphead, he's kind of, if you notice, he's kind of I wouldn't say the antagonist of the group. He's the opposite of it, but he's always combating the evil force, if you will. So I'm not sure what kind of style of play you're used to playing. You say standard, but that's kind of subjective as well. So I'd like to, if you can DM me, I'd like to know a little bit more about your style of play, and I can kind of tell you how you can currently play with the game that exists right now. And then I'd like to even tell you a little bit further of how we're trying to implement our aspect of it. So that way you can kind of see what the future brings when we do partner with these guys. You can kind of see of how your style will be implemented and what we're trying to provide. But first, I'd like to kind of, in order to answer that a little bit more accurately, I'd probably like to talk to you a little bit more to see kind of what your personal style is, so I can tailor that to you.
Thank you, and thank you, Woho, for your question as well. So next question, again, we have from yesterday, who asks, is Cuphead only for entrepreneurship opportunities and support small devs who wish to launch their games/metaverses? Are users allowed to stake their Cup tokens?
Yeah, so that's what we're working on right now. That's if you go look at, I think somebody else just asked this here shortly ago. But yeah, that's what we're working on. That's one of the aspects we're trying to tackle right now, is to go ahead and getting off the ground these swapping and staking platform. We definitely want to create that for you. I think that's kind of a staple right now with long-term projects. And so, yes, that is coming. We don't have the exact date for launch right now, but stay tuned to this. Join our AMAs and our video chats, and you'll get all that information, I promise you. But yes, that is something that is in the works. You asked if it's just for the entrepreneurial person. No, we're just the person that are entrepreneurs and trying to start this first. But I think that we're trailblazers, we're trendsetters. And so I think that once we pave the way for it to be done, hopefully, I always like to tell people there's plenty of food at our table for everyone to eat. So I'm not going to sit here and down anybody else that's also trying to do that, or that if you're listening right now that you might try to do that for yourself in the future. So we're trailblazing a path, just kind of the way other companies have done in the past, in corporations or athletes or musicians. We're trying to create a path for the betterment of tomorrow. And so if what we do influences or creates an easier way for other people to do it, that's great, man. I think everybody wins. There's plenty of money to go around for everybody. There's plenty of food, like I said, to eat at our table. So if we're the first ones to do it and we can create a way, man, that's great news for me.
Thank you, and thank you yesterday for that question as well. Next question again comes from Mooley Crypto, who asks, what are Cuphead's plans for global expansion? Are you focusing on that technology? Are you focusing on the technology, gameplay, or on the marketing to get more users, or all of the above?
All of the above, most definitely. We actually just started our Chinese community. If you go to our Telegram, look at our bio, you'll see that link. So that's one of we already have several influences that are in there, and also mods that are from that area.
Oh yeah, Chinese whales incoming.
Yeah, so that's our first one, man. We're also going to tackle the Japanese community, the German community, and we're going to expand more and more through there. Right now, we're trying to learn about each of them as much as possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a worldwide expert on everybody's culture and everybody's community, because I'm simply not. But I do have the determination and the passion, along with my team members, to go and find out those answers, to go and find out those best avenues to do so, to really kind of navigate those waters. Some people in our core team have been doing this a lot longer than myself and Yanyo. And so they already have established connections in various communities, such as Japanese, Chinese, German, different things like that, Indian. And so that's exactly what we're doing. But as we did with this, we want to do it correctly. We want to do it organically, and we want to do it with a lot of transparency. And so as we expand our global reach, we never want to deviate from our core values, those three things. And so if that takes a little longer, so be it. But we're going to do it the right way, and I think that's going to pay off ultimately in the end.
Thank you very much for that, and thank you, Willie, for that question as well. In the text chat as well, we have a question from SA Crypto, who asks, may I know what your approximate APR percentages per year if you follow and have a good liquidity fund? So I guess what is your staking APRs?
Yeah, we don't have those all out yet. We're looking at a lot of them, kind of crunching the numbers on what those will be. I can't give you all the information that we're looking at them right now, but yes, once we get that closer to getting off the ground, we'll be able to do that. And also, that's where the community input will come in. We're going to probably take several polls and research and see kind of what everybody's feeling. What do you guys think is fair? What do you guys think is, realistic? And kind of get that input from our family in there. And then kind of crunch that up with what everybody votes in on the actual numbers. At the end of the day, you can't just be throwing up stuff that's unrealistic. It has to be feasible. It has to make sense for the future of the project. And so we'll definitely be looking into that and releasing more information on that. But that's a phenomenal question. I got time for about 2 more questions, if you don't mind.
No, certainly. Thank you for that, and thank you, SA Crypto. Looking through the text chat here, it looks like we've burned through all the questions that are available so far. We're going to give a couple more minutes then, just for people to ask any further questions that they would like in our text or voice chats. And a reminder to those of you listening in that if you do not get the opportunity to have your questions answered here during this AMA, you can please feel free to hop over to the CupheadCoin Telegram, where you can ask your questions anytime you like, and the devs and the mod team there will be happy to answer it for you at their convenience.
Yeah, most definitely. Feel free to hop in there, talk with us, stick around for a video chat. Like I said, we're not here to pressure you to buy anything. We're not here to kind of strong-arm you into believing in us. As we started this conversation off with, somebody asked, why should you trust us? The answer will always be the same. You should not trust us. I am just a person on a screen. You don't know me. We didn't grow up together. We're not related. So the answer is you shouldn't, but give us the opportunity. Go and talk to us. See what we're all about. See what our plans are. Join our video chats and just give us the opportunity to earn your trust. And I promise you, we will earn it. Whether it be in a few seconds, whether it be in a few minutes or a few days, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, we will earn your trust. You're very safe in our hands, and you'll see that through our actions. I'm not going to sit here and just tell you to eat my words and believe them. Go look at our actions, and actions speak louder than words.
Of course, and actions. If we're gonna eat the words anyway, probably actions are going to be a lot more tastier.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple questions as well that just came in. Sorry, before you mention Abdul, actually, thank you, Abdul, for pointing that out. Abdul asked, and this might be more in terms of the game itself, so I'm not sure how much you're able to answer about this. How many bosses are in Cuphead? How was Cuphead made? Will Cuphead have online co-op?
Yeah, so there's several bosses in Cuphead. The way that we're looking at it, I can't give you those exact amounts of what it'll ultimately have, but there will be several, and that'll be implemented obviously into the different levels of the game. But that kind of goes back into the drawing board of what we're going to be allowed to do once we get this partnership with the original game. I don't want to promise too much out there or put too much information out there, but there will be a multitude of them. How many exact, I cannot give you that answer right now, but stick around and hopefully I will have an answer for you soon enough.
Thank you for that, and thank you, Abdul. I think you were about to ask a question. Please feel free to go ahead and ask yours. And after that, we'll have time for one more question before we wrap up.
My last question, when moon, when Lambo?
Of course.
Yeah, man, that's a phenomenal question. I'm hoping any day now, but no, man, it's coming. It's definitely coming. As you've seen, the whole market has been red. But I'm so grateful for the investors that we do have, and just the fact that we've really held on to that foundation, that floor of where we're at. I think before I hopped on the chat, it was like at 178 from $890. That's already 178x pretty much. And that's just holding. It's holding. It's been holding for days. You can go and look at charts, even when the market's been bleeding. And so that foundation, that root system that I was mentioning earlier will allow this thing just to turn into a huge skyscraper. And all in due time. We're not in a rush. We're like we grew organically. We don't ever make moves out of desperation. We always make calculated steps, calculated moves. And every move that we make is always for the betterment of the Cuphead family. And so we're going to continue to do that. The moon is coming. I promise you that. It is coming. just be ready for it when it does, because when it does, you're not going to know what happened.
Awesome. Like the response, and I think that is a high note that we can end on right there. The perfect question to close us out. So before we close out, do you have any closing words that you'd like to make to the community?
Yeah, so I just want to thank you guys again for being here, for allowing me the time to talk to you. I know that each of you have many things going on in your life, and I like to end all of our video chats every day with that this crypto thing that we're doing here is great. I think it's stuff the way we like to invest, or maybe it's the way you feed your family. But when you join our Cuphead family, we care about each and every one of you. Even if I've never met you, you know what I look like. And I hope that one day we can be successful and meet up, maybe on a yacht party one day. But I want what's best for you. We want what's best for you, not only just in crypto, but in your everyday life, whether it be with your family, with your job, with your current situation, with your friends, your girlfriend, your wives, whatever it may be. I hope that you're successful. I hope that you're happy. I hope that everything is going great for you, man. I highly encourage you to join the Telegram, CupheadCoin. Come see what we're all about. Give us the opportunity to earn your trust. If anything else, ask questions, be in there, engage with us. And I promise you, we will earn your trust. We will take this to the moon together. But all in all, man, we care about you. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. You know exactly what I look like. I'm not just some guy hiding behind a voice or anything like that, man. So it was great to talk to you today. Thank you guys to Phoenix Holdings for having us. It was a blast to get to know you guys and to y'all get a little bit more about us. But thank you again.
It was an absolute pleasure, man, and thank you to El Patron from Cuphead for joining us here in the Phoenix Holdings studio this evening. It was a pleasure having you, and we wish you all the best for your project. Thank you, man. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Likewise, and just a reminder to those of you who are waiting on the results of the BNB giveaway for the voice and text chat questions. Because there were so many wonderful questions asked during this AMA today, it's going to take me a while to review all of them. We will be conducting the giveaway after the AMA is concluded, so please feel free to stick around. It might take a little bit, but we will get that done, and we'll get you guys your beans. So, give it up once again for El Patron from CupheadCoin. Thank you, guys. So, now that you've heard from the team, it's time for you to decide. Are you bullish on the project? Or are you bearish? Will you ape in? Or will you jeet out? And with that, that brings us to the end of another episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Thank you again to Phoenix Holdings for the opportunity to have us in your studio tonight, and thank you all for tuning in with us. Have a good night, and we'll see you all next time. A reminder to help control the G population. Stay and neuter your friends and family.